Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. I do hope you're enjoying all the fabulous content, the videos, the tutorials over this lovely spring extravaganza. And I hope you like the new Dreamatorium collection of stamps. So this is the piece I've created, and this clock is absolutely stunning, look. And I've teamed it up with the Druid's Pass, and I know we normally use that as a bridge, but it was this bit here that I took the inspiration and I thought, where have I seen that before? And that's what I love about when we get new stamps and I look and I see and my head just wanders. So that's the design, or something similar, you know what I'm like. And I'm going to start with my stamping. And I'm going to use a piece of the multifarious A5. And we're going to start with our lovely Grandfairy Clock. And for this, I'm going to use pine cone. I decided to go sort of like a vintage theme. And I love pine cone. It's a lovely dark brown. I'm thinking this clock retirement card. I know your imagination will be like mine and it'll run riot. I do have to stop mine sometimes. Gets a bit carried away. So we've inked it up. And I'm just going to put my clock sort of, I'm going to go for there. Now, there's a lot of detail in this stamp, so I am going to leave it a little bit longer. There we go. Lift that up. You see, it was worth just doing that little bit longer. Look at the detail. Absolutely stunning. Druid's Pass next. Now, I do apologise if ever I call it the Druid's Inn. You know me. This is the Druid's Pass. So I just want this to go sort of round here. And as I say, for me, it just goes so well. Now we have got a lovely set of purple cat mushrooms. Now I need a little bit of copy paper. As I say, I'm sticking with brown all the way. You could introduce colours if you want. And I'm thinking, let's have one here. And I just want to mask that bottom bit there. So I hope you're having fun. And I hope you're enjoying everything that's sort of coming your way. So much wealth of knowledge and fun and hints and tips. You know, I really hope you're enjoying it. And more to the point, I hope you've got a cheeky brew and a biscuit. I'd love to know what you've got. I've got a glass of water here. And we all know that's just while I do this video. I will be treating myself to a nice coffee when I've finished. Now, I don't want this too symmetrical, so I'm going to add an extra one on this side. And I'm just going to put my copy of paper there just to mask off. So we get that bit. And I don't like things if they're too symmetrical. Now, in with the fairy ladders. Now, I must admit, I don't use these very often, so it was a great excuse for me to get them out. And this one, look, just goes from there to there. And then there's a smaller one. And this one we're just going to put going right off the design. Because what we need to do is stamp our lovely fairy Dana, and she is just going to sit on here. I want to just make sure she's sitting on top of that lovely mushroom there. Yeah, so I know she's there. So little bit more stamping, and we've got these lovely silkweed hops, and when I looked at the shape, I love this, but I just want to extend it a little bit. And I'm just going to turn this way. And I'm just going to put one there. So it's almost like, you know, if you go to the hairdresser, I'm just adding some extensions. And then we've got a lovely set of fairies. It's quite an old set, this. And this is the Fairy Foragers. And again, I'm sticking with the brown. So now it's just a matter of deciding which of these lovely stamps. But as I say with this, I do think this clock is going to be so popular, and I can just see, I can imagine so many different designs with it. And what's lovely is the fact that your older stamps like these go with it. So we've got this fairy here. And now this is quite good, because what I want to do is try and get her lovely hands onto here. So this is quite a feat if you have a go at this. So again, I'm just going to stand right above, but I'm trying to not get my head in the camera, but there we go. So she just looks like she's just moving these lovely florally bits here. So we want one more, and we're going to go for this lovely one here with the lamp. So again, give her a good inking up, and then just for balance, because if you look, it does look like there's something missing here, so she can just be coming in here with the lamp look, and then it looks nicely balanced. So that's that lovely stamping done. I've got to be honest, you could leave this just monochromatic, just the brown and white, but we're going to come in and add a bit more detail. So I've gone for this lovely stencil, and this is ornate. So I'm going to use Sahara, and I've gone to Elements now. And I'm just going to, you know me, clean it in the lid, just blend that brush. It just blends the ink, gets it nicely on your brush. And then very gently, we're just going to tickle through the stencil. So hold your brush lightly and just tickle round the design, and that'll be lovely. So what we want to do now is just add a little bit more colour at the base. So I'm going to come in with henna, and I'm going to come in with my smaller brush. Now, you know, I love these little brushes, because what I can do, look, is just in here, and I'm almost colouring in, and it just starts to build, and a little bit of depth here. And you can see how it starts to build up. And I'm just going to come round the whole design, as I say, just with this smaller brush. And it's almost a quick way of adding that shade and that lovely glow. So in with the larger brush now. And we're just going to add some ink around the edge. So quite speedily, and I always ink up on the corners. We'll go into the corners and then along the bottom. So we'll add some colour now, and we're going to come in with our pencils now. I'm just going to start, we'll add a little bit of colour to the clock face. Now, I am going to use my wink of colour, so don't worry that they're not blended perfectly. When I bring my lovely clear wink of Stella, it'll blend the ink beautifully. Now, the steps. So anybody who's a lovely colourist, I do apologise, I'm a bit of a cheats colourer. So when you're good at colouring, obviously you colour this your own way. Me, I'm just going for a cheats colouring. So I'm going to put the yellow down the middle, and then a darker brown at the edge, and then a beigey brown in the middle. And I'm going to do that on everything. There we go. So we'll put the pencils down for the minute, and I'll just show you now the difference once you start. So this is just my clear Wink of Stella, and I'm going to come in and blend the yellow first. And then once I've gone in the yellow, and can you see, if I bring it closer, you see how it's blending it now, the difference? So we'll go into the mid-brown, and I'm just going along with the mid-brown and then into the darker colour, into that dark brown. Just go all the way down there. And then a little bit round the light, look, and you can drag that colour out. Now I just want to check always check it's clean before you put it away. But if I lift this up, can you see, you know, it will get more sparkly as it dries, but for me, not only does it blend, but I've got that lovely sparkle, that lovely sort of magic. So, a couple more little things. We want to add a little bit more drama to this and the finishing tricks. So we're going to come in, the first thing we're going to do is bring in this dark denim. Now, I know it's very much a brown, and when I was making this, I couldn't decide whether to go dark brown, but in the end, I went for dark denim, just to give me almost like a sort of a mystic tone towards the end, just for that framing. I'm going to start on the corners, as always, and just blend around the edges. And what I tend to do is just put the work and have a look to check if all four corners are equal. There we go, I think they are there. Little finishing tricks. Fan brush. And we're just going to add, if you're worried, if you knew and you've not done much blending before and you're worried about lines around the edges, this is lovely. Just adding some little water droplets. I'll just discard, but also to me, it just gives you a little bit of sort of magic round the edges. And then while that's activating, we can come in with our shade. And for that, we're going to just bring in our lovely pastel pencils. And we're just going to add a little bit more drama. So with our black pastel pencil, we'll add some, look at that straight away, some depth in here and here. Now, I don't need to spray fixative for this because I'm not adding too much. And to help blend it, I'm just going to use a biodegradable cotton bud, and that'll just fix it. But also, I think it looks better if it's blended. And you can smudge it out, look, just to add a bit more drama. And if you've not used your pastel pencils before, just add a little bit, walk away and come back, and then it's amazing how sort of brave you get to add more. And I just want to blend it that way so it's not got a definite edge. And the same thing just here on the clock face, just by adding a bit of shade there. Can you see? And the thing is with this, it's all about light and shade. So we want to just emphasise that a little bit more. So it's a combination now with our lovely yellow sparkly Posca. I can just add round the clock, just on the inside of that, and we'll just highlight that there and here. And as I say, it's these things together. So on these lovely stones, on the middle of the steps, let's just add some yellow Posca. And just on some of the ones here. And again, it just brightens it up a little bit on the lamps. And that combination, like I was saying about the white and the dark. So I'm going to add a few little highlights to the fairies now with the white pastel. So we've added those dark areas. So now we can come in with just a couple of highlights. And again, just on here. And then I want a little bit more white, so I'm coming in with my uni ball, and I'm thinking if I just highlight the lovely mushroom there, a little bit on the top of her wing. And just in the middle of the steps, and then on the odd. And you can add as much highlight. I tend not to overcook it. I don't want to overdo it, but just enough, just so we know. And then last little thing, I'm just going to give this around the edge a blot, just so that it's all nice and dry. And then there's the finished. Now, if you wanted, just on these bits, you could come in with a little bit more look. So just to blend the edges here between that pastel and that blue, we can just come in with a little bit of ink. There we go. And I just think the drama that you get, and there's your design when it's mounted up. And this one I've added one of our lovely sentiment stickers, Magical Things. So thanks as always for joining me. And I can't wait to see if you make a design using our beautiful Grandfairy Clock. Please tag me and I'd love to see what you create. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, thanks for being here. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.